The world is literally out of its mind. This week, I was watching parts of the Democratic convention, but it was really too hard to watch. The amount of mind control that people are under is completely sickening. It seems everyone is delusional, fighting for what they believe is about rights and equality. But in fact, they are fighting for a new world order. It's very hard for me to watch, and there are many things that need to be said about the whole thing. But that's not even the most pressing issue for me right now. The thing is that people are all in for agendas that are all about spending more money than we have. It's completely delusional. And it really shows the state of America today, which will pour out consequences for the rest of the world. I have made videos speaking about the coming financial collapse and the collapse of the dollar. Those videos were made way before the scapegoat of COVID-19 was placed upon the world. If you watch those videos, all the reasons for the collapse are still highly prevalent and have been made much worse with all the money printing and debt that we have taken on since the beginning of this year. But the thing is that many people still don't see it, and because the stock market is climbing, reaching record highs, they still have hope and are ignoring fundamentals. The amount of people that I speak to that tell me that they think that this COVID situation will go away by 2021 after the election is over is too many to count. The amount of people that believe that we are just going to roll out of this situation with clear skies ahead are disturbing. I have friends that I have been explaining the fundamentals to about the economy for years now, but they can't get past the mind control of the system. I'm hoping that many of you who have been watching these videos for a while now are able to see through all the mind controlling noise and see that this house of cards can fall at any time. But if you're not able to see clearly, I would like to provide you with a real look at our economic reality away from the numbing content we are receiving from our leaders and the media. You must wake up and live in reality, even if everyone around you is asleep and in a dream. Let me assist you with this. Let's begin. Okay, so let's start in the dream world, and then we will reverse our way out into reality. Now, this stuff can be quite complex, which is a reason why so many people are not paying proper attention to everything happening. I will try to make this as simple as possible to understand. Right now, the stock market is climbing to record highs. At some point soon, if not today, the S&P 500, this is the index which contains the 500 largest public companies in the United States. It's pretty much the index to follow when watching the stock market, even more than the Dow, which is probably what the general public watches the most. But the S&P 500 is on its way to hit a record close by definition we obviously have never seen before. It's trying to get to 3,400. If you look at this chart, you can see what has happened. On February 19th of this year, before the coronavirus pandemic, the market hit an all-time high of 3386. And then literally, when the virus came on the scene around the world, in 1 month, it dropped a little more than 33%. For those with understanding, that is no coincidence. But it dropped to 2237. If you remember, this happened really fast with record drops within the month. But then the Federal Reserve stepped in and said that they would do whatever it is that they needed to do to prop up the American economy. And they did just that. Now, fast forward to the present, the S&P erased all of the losses it had since March, climbed over 54%, and now is reaching record closes again. And because of this, the general public is able to have hope and feel confident that things are under control, because that is the general gauge of the economy. If the stock market is doing well, then the economy must be doing well. And though there are other factors that don't seem very good, it seems the market is just shrugging it off because there's obviously hope. That's what the general public must feel. At least, that's how I rationalize their thinking in my head. Now, there are other factors to place in when trying to analyze their thinking, because we are in times of an election. Then school is about to start up. Whether it's in person or virtual, many people are focused on it. And then we still have this coronavirus lingering over us. So there are many other distractions which would show why people aren't really paying attention. But as I see all this happening, the stock market hitting all-time highs and Apple hitting 2 trillion, I am just bracing for impact and preparing. As I hear the market reaching all-time highs, I buy more water and food. If you were paying attention to how things were when coronavirus first came on the scene, you saw no food on the shelves, food and water limits when buying, no toilet paper, etc., etc. And that wasn't even the real situation. It was just like a small preview. When the world is snapped out of the dream it's in, you want to be prepared. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Like I was explaining, the dream world shows that the economy is recovering and that the stock market is hitting all-time highs. Companies like Apple and Tesla are hitting records. Apple just became the first $2 trillion company. The company Target hit all-time sales records. That number from Target, I actually kind of believe. But we witnessed the shortest bear market in history. A bear market is when people are selling, not buying. Okay, so what is my problem then? My problem is that what my eyes are seeing are not matching with the story that they are telling or what the market is giving. Let's move into reality. First, understand the American economy. The American economy is not a manufacturing-driven economy that made us a superpower. We are a consumer-driven economy. This economy is driven by the strength of the consumer. That's you and I. If the American consumer is able to spend money and buy, then the economy theoretically should be thriving. So if you see higher employment numbers, higher wages, indicators that say that the American consumer is doing well, then yes, the stock market should be looking pretty good. But let's go over reality. Now let me first just give this disclaimer that I don't like the unemployment numbers because they don't really calculate true unemployment. I'll explain in 1 second, but let me just show you the numbers. In February of this year, and going backwards, the unemployment rate of this country was hovering around 3.5%. If you remember, President Trump was touting these numbers during his entire presidency.
Came out, and they're the best numbers we've had in over 50 years. The unemployment number is down to 3.5%, so that goes way, way back. We haven't had numbers like this in a long time.
Then March unemployment jumped almost 1% to 4.4%. And then in April, skyrocketed to almost 15% and has been coming slowly down since then, showing at 10% in July. But let's get this straight and think about this. The S&P in February hit an all-time high with unemployment at 3.5%. And now, at 10% unemployment, it's still hitting all-time highs? That doesn't make sense. This honestly should be enough for anyone not to trust the situation. But let's dig more. Okay, and the reason I don't trust the unemployment numbers is because it is extremely miscalculated. Unemployment is calculated by counting only those who are in the labor force, meaning those who are looking for a job. It does not calculate those who are not in the labor force, those that they claim have given up on looking for a job. Like for example, in February 2020, when we had record low unemployment, the labor force participation rate was at 63%, which means that 37% of the eligible workforce is not participating. In July 2020, that number was 61%, which was over 98 million Americans not participating in the workforce. The employment numbers do not give an accurate gauge of employment in the United States, but you don't have to go so deep to understand that the market is not aligned with economic indicators. Again, it is reaching market highs whether it's record low unemployment or significantly higher. Now, going along with this stock market rise not making sense and unemployment, we know for certain we will be seeing more unemployment coming as we see companies going bankrupt. If you pay attention, you're seeing more store closings, and there's a growing list of companies filing bankruptcy in 2020. Companies like JCPenney, Aldo, Neiman Marcus, Tailored Brand, which owns companies like Men's Warehouse, K&G, and Joseph A. Bank, all have filed bankruptcy. Then companies like Lord & Taylor and Retail Winds, who owns brands like New York & Company, are all closing their stores. When you hear companies going bankrupt, this means a restructuring of debt, meaning that debt holders may not receive back all money that they have lent out. This is a major problem that is growing, not slowing down. You don't need to understand all the specifics, but what you should have in your head is that every time you hear of companies filing bankruptcy, think of the debt bubble. The more bankruptcies, the sharper the pin is that pops the debt bubble. This is not a healthy environment at all, and until all of it falls into place, there should never be a feeling of calm for the economy. These companies have been kept alive because of debt, and they are not able to repay it. This is not strength. And with this, we also see industries setting up for more unemployment, like with the airline industry. We have major airlines reporting that they will be laying off thousands of employees in October. American Airlines says that they need to shed 25,000 jobs. United Airlines says their number is 36,000. Las Vegas's McCarran Airport said almost 1,000 of their airport restaurant workers would be laid off by October 1st. These are just the companies that are reporting this early. And they say October 1st because this is the beginning of the fourth quarter. But there are complete industries that are not doing well and will close. Think of all the movie theaters. Nobody's going to movies. These businesses will fail. Companies laying off their employees is a constant number that is growing. These are jobs that are being let go of that show no signs of coming back. Again, with these numbers coming out in a consumer-driven economy, nothing should be showing signs of hope in the United States economy. Bankruptcies, store closings, and layoffs have not slowed. They are continuing. Now, obviously, that's all part of the problem for the economy. American companies are failing and filing bankruptcy. And besides the industries that are just failing, it's hard for many of the other companies to stay afloat because for some reason, all the stores are closing early. More stores here in Florida are closing around 8 p.m., which makes no sense. They are all finding ways to cut costs, but this also affects wages and business revenue. Ask yourself, how can companies stay profitable when they are closing earlier? All of this going on should be sending many strong warning signals to the country that we are in store for a major problem. Like I said, many of American consumers are unemployed, and if they are employed, their wages are not in line with the cost to survive. The cost of food is rising. No matter what, we are spending more in the grocery store. It's hard just to put food on the table. And the thing is that the government knows this, which is why they are debating right now to send more stimulus. Understand what stimulus is. It is supposed to be intended to spark energy and/or activity into the economy, but it's more like a governmental propping up of the system. These companies need money to stay afloat. Every time you hear the need for stimulus, it shows that the American economy is not doing well at all. Understand, there should be no reason for the stock market to be reaching record highs when the government is debating stimulus packages. It literally makes no sense. It's completely opposite from each other. So you should use that understanding to know that there should be no confidence in the markets whatsoever. Nothing makes sense. And everyone that is trying to brush off all the wrong in the economic system are living in a dream world, and they are setting themselves up for a major fall when the final prick pops the whole bubble. It's like in real estate. I have people I've known for a long time that are in real estate, and it amazes me how all these professionals can be so oblivious to the true state of the economy. I understand that this is their profession and their livelihood depends on activity in the industry, but no one should be buying real estate in this economy. It's like people are not learning the lessons from the past. No, we are not in the same situation of 2008. We are in fact in a worse situation because there are many factors that are against us. But when just considering real estate, it's very easy to see why no one should be buying property in this environment. What's going on in the real estate market over the past 6 months? There has been a foreclosure and eviction moratorium that has been extended for another 2 months, ending at the end of this month. Since March, many people who have lost their jobs have not been able to pay their rent or their mortgages. Governments like Florida and agencies like Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae have given protections that prevent foreclosures and evictions for almost 6 months. This is millions of people across the country that have not been able to pay for their housing. Understand it this way. An owner of rental property uses the income that he receives from rent to pay for his mortgage on the rental property. If the rent is not paid, they have no money for the mortgage. What we have is a massive problem brewing that has only bad solutions. Solution A is that whenever this moratorium of protection runs out, you will see massive evictions and foreclosures, which will destroy the housing market. There will be foreclosures because people cannot afford the mortgage. When there are massive foreclosures, there is a massive price reduction in home prices. Just based on what they're doing with this eviction foreclosure moratorium, it's inevitable that the price people are paying for their homes is higher than what it will be when everything is allowed to run as it should. Solution B is another bad situation as well, because it just means either longer government intervention with extending the moratorium, just making the problem worse, or the government throwing more money at the problem and adding more debt, which is the ultimate problem that I will get to in 1 second. But what I am explaining is that the real estate market is a horrible place to be in right now, especially if you are buying with debt. You are just borrowing money on an overvalued home. The actual problem with everything is the actual government. In the right economic environment, the market is supposed to allow itself to function. There are good times and bad times. When the government steps in to prevent the bad times from happening, they are just making the bad times more severe in the future. Because eventually, the problem will get so big that nothing that the government can do will fix the problem, which is exactly what we are seeing and what we have been seeing since 2008. There have been over 12 years of not allowing the market to function properly. And what has been the solution? One word: debt. We have been borrowing and borrowing like we have never seen, and this is the actual problem of our lifetime. Everything I have explained before this just shows how the economic reality is not lining up with what we are seeing present day. People have false hope in a system that is set up for failure, and the information I provided earlier was just so that you can have a real outlook of what is really happening, because the markets are not in line with reality. The stock market and real estate market especially. But the problem really is the debt. And this is what I have been speaking about for a long time. They are not making the situation better, but much worse. Listen, every time you hear about them spending money, passing out stimulus, bailing out companies, anything like that, it means more trouble for the world. They are just borrowing money to get themselves out of a problem. Now ask yourself, does this situation ever work in a personal situation? If you are in a bad economic situation, and to get out of it, let's say you just borrow more money, you put more on the credit cards, you take out more loans, while your income remains the same. All you are doing is kicking the can down the road, delaying the inevitable collapse, while making the situation way worse for yourself, because now you have more debt that you owe. There is literally no difference with us in this economic system, except for the size and the fact that the United States prints its own money. Check this out. This is our debt as of August 3rd, 2017, a little under 20 trillion. Then as you can see by this chart, 2018 it was 21 trillion, 2019 almost 23 trillion, and now in August of 2020, the year's not even over, we are at almost 27 trillion and counting. Do you see how fast our debt has climbed in only 3 years? It's really unbelievable, and is a main thing that everyone should be looking at continuously. Go to usdebtclock.org to follow the national debt. The major problem of our time in the world will be the world's addiction to debt and cheap money. This has created a debt bubble that will pop. It's not a matter of if, but only when it will happen and what will cause it to pop. Every time we hear that the government solution is to spend more money, they are adding to this debt that was already claimed to be unsustainable 3 years ago. We are on the cusp of a major collapse, and those that are paying attention know this, which is why we see gold and silver climbing to historic levels. We also see cryptocurrency soaring recently in value. The thing to understand is that it's not that these commodities and currencies are getting more valuable. It's that the United States dollar is getting weaker. You can see this in the 6-month chart of the dollar index. Those that are paying attention are hedging the dollar, while they keep the rest of the world asleep, ready to be victims. You need to be paying attention. This is not information I'm giving so you can try to make it rich off betting against the dollar and the economy, but so that you can properly prepare and brace yourself. The times we are in do not make sense. When reality sets in, there is a true reckoning that will come along with it. If you're new to this channel and maybe you just want to look at all this as conspiracy theory because it doesn't make sense why all this would be happening while no one is doing anything about it, your question probably is, why? I answer this question in more detail in other videos. Go to my playlist and you can get more information there. But the simple answer to this is that they want everyone dependent upon them for the solution. The narrative will be that no one could have prepared for it, and to prevent things from getting worse or from even happening again, they did these things that they want the whole world to be a part of. They want you to trust them in administering the solution. So they are keeping as many as they can asleep and sedated as they walk them into their new world. Don't listen to this information and feel that there is no hope, because that is absolutely not true. It is only true if you have made it your overall desire and goal to be attached to this world. If that is the case, then yeah, your future is not looking very bright. You will have major hardships ahead that will also bring with it war, chaos, and a microchip in your right hand or on your forehead. What is coming does not have to be for you, but you must make the right choice. This choice becomes way easier when you live in reality and not in the dream world that they have created. Stop watching the stock market. It's not real. It is being pushed up by cheap money made available by the Federal Reserve. Companies are not more valuable today than they were before the pandemic. Just use common sense. Don't allow yourself to be guided by these lies, because it will not do you any good in the long run. You need to be focusing on your relationship with our Creator. You need to be redeemed by the blood of Yahshua. You need to be led by the Holy Spirit and waiting patiently for our day of redemption. Father has made the ways of this world so clear and so easy to discern for those that are seeking Him. Have no fellowship with this place, and do not tie your fate to it. Release yourself from its bondage and be free. Know and believe in the gospel, for it is the only hope for you in this world. Those that are tied to this world live in a deception manipulated by Satan and his minions. He keeps those like this blinded. But even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing, whose minds the God of this world have blinded, who do not believe, lest the light of the gospel of the glory of the Messiah, who is the image of Elohim, should shine on them. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 and 4. Yahshua has told us in Revelation chapter 3, verse 11, "Behold, I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown." If you are living for this world, it has taken your crown. This world is on a course for chaos and destruction, in which after it takes place, they will bring in their order for those who survive it. It is imperative to make the right decision and live for our Savior. They created a world system for us that made us dependent upon it and only focus on making money and achieving wealth and prosperity. They built us up on these lies and dreams only to pull it away from us at a moment's notice. And then the weak, who will be desperate for solutions, will accept whatever else they have planned for us. Be prepared for struggle. Be prepared to exit society. Be prepared so that you are not dependent upon this world system for anything. Only be dependent upon Yahweh, our Creator. He will get you through all that you need, but you must keep your eyes fixed upon Him. There are no answers out there in the world for you. Politics will not fix this. More spending and debt will not fix this. There is nothing that can be done to get us out of this mess. The only answer is resting upon our Savior and trusting in Him. So make sure that this is exactly what you start doing yesterday. Be ready for Him, because He is on the way. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please don't forget to like this and share it with others. If you have not done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Elohim willing, I upload every Friday. Don't forget to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. As always, I really would like to thank all those who support this ministry. You know who you are. Your contributions have been an extreme blessing to this ministry, and I'm very thankful for you. Thank you. Thank you for being a blessing and following Yah's call in your heart. Okay. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. I love you all.